2023 at 6 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Johnstone? Here. Councilmember Richardson? Present. Councilmember Kaufman?
Here.
Councilmember Smith? Here. Councilmember Hess? Here. Councilmember Brooks? Here. Councilmember Kaminsky? Here. Mayor DePinto?
Here. All right, moving on. Can we get an agenda approval? Move Councilmember Smith.
Move to approve.
Is there any additions or any amendments?
The agenda.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Second by Councilmember Crossman. Sorry, I thought you were going to make a motion for the.
No.
Okay. All right. If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to public comment. We have one card. Is there anyone else that wishes to make some public comments? All right, Rachel Haskins, please step up.
Good evening, City of Yelm. I wanted to start with some positive things that I see going on in the City of Yelm. The National Night Out on August 1st, which aims to improve relationships with law enforcement in the community, had a fabulous turnout for families. Jazz in the Park was a spectacular show of community and arts coming together. I would love to see a YMCA come to town to bring the community together, including those of us that live in the unincorporated parts of Pierce and Thurston County. I like the idea of having a nearby ER or urgent care facility that is being discussed, which I know Councilperson Johnstone, that's something that you're really passionate about. And actually Mayor DePinto, you're working on, and I knew that by going to one of the recent meetings. I was like, I didn't know that. So thank you for that. I love that idea. So positive stuff. I do want to share some of the areas of concerns, which I've tried to do along the way. And really it's more asking questions is what I've been trying to do of each of you and challenge each of you to help us as a community, even the outskirts and even in the City of Yelm, ask questions. So according to the City of Yelm study session on August 1st, the spreadsheet showed of the 57 officers hired on June 10th, 12 were from the City of Yelm. The pay for the officers amounted to $7,349.78. The City of Yelm provided meals for 57 officers for an additional $1,022.11 for a grand total of $8,371.89. 45 officers were hired outside of the City of Yelm's tax jurisdiction. Therefore, you involved every citizen and the state of Washington and Thurston County when you used our tax dollars to pay for the City of Yelm's public safety responsibility. These were planned events on June 10th, so you did not consider this an urgent public safety emergency. If it would have been a public safety emergency, why wouldn't you have canceled the events like you did during COVID to protect the public? In the Baldales area in unincorporated Thurston County, we have had many motor vehicle accident related deaths, as some of you probably already know. We need every tax dollar we pay for our area to strategize, enforce, and plan ways to reduce the number of people dying in motor vehicle related crashes. Will the City of Yelm be reimbursing the state of Washington or Thurston County taxpayers for using tax dollars from those budgets for the Washington State Patrol or Thurston County officers you hired on June 10th? Will the City of Yelm offer this level of security to each business within its city limits? If not, why not? As the city grows, there should be factors built into the price that facilities are rented for, including security costs, types of vendors, noise levels, usage of the facilities, family-friendly events, crowd control, traffic management, and revenue capabilities. The council should consider having a committee to review the events as they submit applications. A prayer for each of you. Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. Please. 3 John 1:2. Please consider your impact and answer these questions. Thank you for all you guys do.
Thank you, Rachel. Any other comments? Anyone online?
You do not have any hands raised.
All right, moving on. Item number 5, consent agenda. Councilmember Smith.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to amend the consent agenda.
Because there is the RCW 41.12.030, which does give the mayor sole authority of selecting for that commission as well as LTAC. And so therefore it should not be in this consent.
So your motion is to remove that from the
Remove
consent
that
agenda.
from the consent.
Okay, it's been motioned to remove the confirmation of Mayor DePino's appointment to the Civil Service Commission. Is there a second?
Sure, I'll second it.
Second by Councilmember Crossman. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3. So we got 3. Any abstained?
I abstain.
Okay. So I'm seeing 3, 2, so 3 nays, or excuse me, 2 nays, 3 nays, 1 abstained. Did I get yours, Councilmember?
Can I go backwards and get?
Sure, let's do it.
Please.
Let's do a roll.
It's just a formality of rules. Is that all it is?
Hold on.
Because the council doesn't.
Hold on, Council. Let's do a roll call vote. If there's any further discussion, go ahead. Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Hess.
I was gonna let Councilmember Kaminsky go first, then I have a question to ask.
Councilmember-
Could you explain again with a little more detail?
No. It's really small writing. You know how, can I put it in layman's terms? Please. Okay. You know how the mayor has authority to assign like the police chief,
Okay.
right? He assigned Rob Carlson. This RCW states that for the Civil Service Commission, it's the same authority. So we don't have, there's nothing for us to approve. Does that make sense?
So it should be deleted.
It should be deleted. There's no reason for it. I mean, in simple terms, that's what it is. There's nothing for us to, it shouldn't even be in there.
Yeah, and I concur with Councilmember Smith on that.
Thank you.
But yeah. Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Hess.
Can we just change the word confirmation to introduction of or notification of? I mean, we're not confirming it, but it'd be nice to be told who you've decided to put into place.
I will do, I was planning on doing it during my report. If you still want to do that.
Should be something officially in the agenda that even though we may not confirm and be part of that, it would still be nice, not just having to wait till the report at the end, but have within the agenda itself.
Sure.
Be in the agenda, not the consent agenda, if he was going to introduce something.
It's we're either under new business or the consent agenda, one or the other, but it's just, I think it's important that introduction, not just having to wait for the report.
So we do have a motion second on the floor. We could do, if you would like to make an amendment, you're more than welcome to motion to make an amendment at this time.
I'd like to make a motion that we amend the current agenda item, instead of saying confirmation, and for all future ones, that it be introduction or notification of appointment.
But don't you have to do my amendment first?
I'm amending to yours.
Oh, you're amending mine.
Yeah, I'm amending to yours, that instead of reading it, that we.
So I do believe that Councilmember Smith has to agree to the amendment.
I have no problem.
And do you disagree, Councilmember Smith?
I don't agree with that, but
Okay, how about this? Is there a second even for Councilmember Hess's motion or amendment? Without there being a motion, it would die anyway. So we go back to the original motion, which was to remove it from the consent agenda confirmation. And we'll do the roll call vote. My apologies for that, for just asking for it. Councilmember Crossman.
Comment on that, yeah. So I agree with Holly because there's no real point for us to vote on this because we don't interview these people. We don't know who they are. We know a name. That's it. So this is the mayor's decision and we really shouldn't be voting on this at all. Unless we're more part of the process. So I agree with Holly.
And we found out about this earlier this morning. We could have removed it. I didn't think that would have been right transparency wise for the public. I don't think it would have looked right if we just took some off like that with less than 24 hours notice. So that's the reason I chose to leave it on there. That being said, there's been a motion a second. We'll do a roll call vote starting with Councilmember Johnstone. If yay is for to remove the confirmation of the appointment to the Civil Service Commission from the
consent agenda. How do you vote, Councilmember Johnstone?
Yay.
Councilmember Richardson?
Yay.
Councilmember Crossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yay.
Councilmember Hess?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaminsky? Yes. It passes now unanimously.
Gotta get the education first.
All right, so that's been amended to to remove the confirmation. Now the consent agenda still has the July 25th, 2023 and August 1st, 2023 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Motion by Councilor Crossman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnston. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Thank you. Motion carries. We have a consent agenda. Approved. All right. Moving on to new business. We have a letter to the county commissioners to support the city of Yelm / Thurston County joint plan. And I just showed an idea. What are you doing here? Go ahead, Gary. Thank you, Mayor.
Good evening, council. So last week, Cody was here during your work session to talk about the city and county's joint plan. I'm sure he did a good job. I'll go back over a couple pieces, a couple aspects of it. But the joint plan is a cooperative effort, ideally, and it was in this case between the city and Thurston County to plan. It's a comprehensive plan that just applies to the city's urban growth area. So the city's urban growth area is actually the county, but it's the area that the city and the county have decided will be annexed. Most likely, typically, it's supposed to be within 20 years. So that's an area where we have mutual concerns. We try to develop policies that are consistent both as much as possible with the way the city does business and the way the county does business. And so we worked with the county on developing that. We didn't start from scratch. We had a plan that was put in place in 2017 that the city drafted, but this county, just basically due to staffing concerns, really wasn't able to participate in that. So what the way this kind of worked out is the county picked up the plan that we had drafted. They started that with that as their basic plan, and then modified it to meet some of the things that are more specific to the county. So for example, our city comprehensive plan talks about doing planning at the neighborhood level. Those kinds of things don't necessarily apply to rural areas of the county. So they just sort of fashioned it, tweaked it to make it reflect more or less what's going on in the county. The biggest thing that we did is that we also have what's called a future land use or a future zoning for those areas. So the urban growth area right now is almost entirely zoned 1 unit per 5 acres, which is not an urban level of zoning, but because it's in the county, that's what it's zoned as. So we went through an internal exercise to establish what, upon annexation, we would like those areas to be zoned as, and they're more consistent with city zoning. So kind of, sort of starting with the city's urban core, looking at, okay, when this area, which is immediately adjacent to the city, is annexed, what kind of density should we have? And then moving on out, and typically like you'll start at maybe even at 16 units per acre, and it'll get less dense as you get more toward the edge of what the future city boundary will be, to like maybe 4 units per acre, looking at more commercial and that kind of a thing. So I know that y'all talked about that a week ago. I'm not going to beat that to death. The process that we use, aside from working with county staff, is we had 2 joint planning commission meetings. Our planning commission actually traveled to Thurston County's offices and had a joint workshop for one of the meetings. And then we held a joint public hearing where both their planning commission and our planning commission voted to recommend approval of this joint plan. At staff level, we recommend approval. The city does not have the final approval authority on this. That's why I'm recommending that you sign a letter. Just the way it's set up through GMA, the county is the ultimate approval authority. So we don't need a resolution. We don't need an ordinance. We don't need to adopt it ourselves. So we just need to basically send a letter request, saying that, hey, thank you for all the help and all this good work we did together, and we support you signing or adopting this joint plan. So that's why I'm here, to ask for your approval to have the mayor sign that letter.
Questions?
In other words, we require certain, amount of footage for sidewalks, various other things like that, or is the county different?
They are different. I don't know exactly to the extent that they are different, but anything that's in the urban growth area is subject to the county's development standards right now. So there could be differences in setbacks. There are differences in allowed uses. So right now in the 1 to 5, you may have things like storage yards or other things that really aren't consistent or compatible with what we would consider to be approvable here in the city. And that's something that we're talking to them about. In 92, when Growth Management Act was first initiated, the county actually entered into an agreement with Lacey, Tumwater, and Olympia to adopt those cities' standards in their urban growth area. Those are the only 3 cities that have that. We've been talking to the county about that, and that's one of the things that's actually now in the joint plan. Is one of the goals is for the county to also adopt our development regulations in the urban growth area. But again, it's a staffing thing. They've said they could get to it within the next couple of years, which I guess considering it's been 30 years since the Growth Management Act started, that's not too far off, but it's a priority for us. And we said that to them because now that the way Yelm is growing, we don't want the county to be approving things that are rural in nature that are eventually going to be part of the city. So, but as of now, if somebody were to come in for any kind of I don't care if it's like I said, a storage yard or even density, of course, 1 to 5 is certainly not an urban level of growth. So once that gets established, it's like, well, how do you make it 6 units per acre now? So those are concerns.
Councilmember Richardson.
Just to make it more layman's terms. So in essence, we're basically, Yelm City has their own zoning regulations. We're saying, hey, county, adopt some of our zoning regulations. So when it does come time for the properties that want to be annexed in, there's not so much fuss. They've already got the same, thing that we do, the same zoning regulations. So it's going to be easier to accomplish that. It's just to ensure that the properties that want to be annexed into the city are already falling underneath those zoning regulations. So the county's going to adapt to the city is what we're.
That's exactly right. And so the issue, of course, for the county is they have to learn a whole new. So right now they have their county codes. They have planners that in their urban growth area for Tumwater have to know the Tumwater codes, and planners who have to know the Lacey codes and the Olympia codes. And so they're going to need to have staffing to now learn the Yelm codes so that they adopt and implement our codes according to what we want.
We can teach them.
Yeah, we can. I mean, but so that's kind of the issue with that. But they have indicated they definitely want to do that, and they do realize that we've kind of grown up. At the time that GMA was implemented, we were probably less than 2,000 people. I don't really know, but now we're 11,000, and they know that we're really growing. And they have said, well, your UGA isn't really growing that much, but it's not going to grow that much if it's a 1 per 5 acres. So,
Other questions? Councilor S.
And then just to reiterate, or just to get clarification on something you said during the presentation, the 20 years for that growth to occur, is that 20 years from this or from when the Urban Growth Act was passed?
it's basically 20 years from when you adopt your comp plan or your UGA. Now, I mean, nobody in the 30 years, I kind of got started right at the beginning of GMA. In the 30 years that all of the cities have adopted their 20-year annexation plans, none of them have actually adopted or annexed all of those areas. So they are, as you know, population estimates and growth rates and all that. I mean, that's an annual sort of a prediction thing. So you just do your best.
Other questions, comments? For a motion, yes, look for a motion to approve the letter. Councilmember Richardson.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the letter to county commissioners in support of Yelm City of Yelm, Thurston County Joint Plan.
And
Second by Councilmember Crossman. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Expend it to them. Thank you.
All right, moving on to old business. There's none scheduled. Moving on to standing council committee reports, starting with the Public Safety Committee.
We did have a meeting. Chief Carlson was actually in the dunk tank, so he wasn't there. So we, but Officer Tillman did talk a little bit. He did talk a little bit about the drag show debrief he attended, but he didn't give any real specifics. He talked about the joint active shooter training with the Tumwater PD. He said it was a 28-hour training at, I think it was Black Hills High School. He said it was very useful, very impactful. Matt Russell, the assistant fire marshal, did come to that meeting. And as far as the court records, sometimes people ask me about this. The passports processed in June were 64 for a total of $2,240, and in July was 57 for $1,985. It was a pretty brief meeting.
Councilmember Smith. Moving on to Public Services Committee.
Nothing new to report.
Thank you, Councilmember S. Moving on to Finance Committee.
Yeah, Finance Committee is fantastic. Stephanie Dice does a great job. Everything's very well listed and transparent. There are some big expenditures. I think it's because of the WRF reclamation. It's like, whoa, that's a lot of money. Also, it's good to see that there was some damaged deposits that were returned to people who used the community center and didn't damage it, so they got their money back. So that's fair. That's good to see that. Also, if you want to find out who spends the most money, it's Cody. Spends the most money.
Public Services has the most.
But very good. It's all there. I think they post these things online. You can look at them. You can see the Amazon membership. You can see how much Brent Daly gets paid. You can see all this.
Yep. All righty. Thank you, Councilmember Richardson. Moving on to Mayor, City Minister, staff reports. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Thank you, Mayor. So community conversations will happen tomorrow. I know I reported last week it was going to happen Wednesday. It did not. It will happen tomorrow at La Gitana. The police chief, mayor, public services director will all be there. That'll be at noon. The property purchase at 507 in Mill.
What's that?
La Gitana.
Thank you.
Property purchase at 507 in Mill Road is proceeding. The 0.2 acres on the other side of 507 is getting cleared up in the title portion. They're going through a quiet title to make sure that that is all titled correctly. So we're just going through that period right now to make sure that gets done. So everything is still on track for that. As mentioned previously, National Night Out last Tuesday was a tremendous success. Appreciation and recognition for this success goes to the team of employees from the police department and the communications rec coordinator. Did a fantastic job. Went through over 800 hot dogs, I believe, something like that. So it was fantastic. A new accounting assistant has been selected for our finance department. Kristen Jewell will officially start with the city on September 5th. A new assistant planner has been selected by the Public Services Department. Clayton Weib, I'm going to go with that. Weeby. Okay. Clayton Weeby will officially start with the city on August 28th. We still have a few positions open in the city in the Public Services Department. Our operations manager position is open, as well as a new streets position is open as well. In the police department, they still have a few openings they're trying to fill. They're going through background polygraph different processes for that, but they're ongoing. And every open position is getting several qualified applicants, which is great to see. And so that's what I have. I'm going to turn it over to Cody here. He has a few pretty cool updates with public services.
Let me see. I'll stand up here. So just a couple quick things. If you may or may not have noticed on Roten Road, there is rails being removed in preparation for the trail. So letters were sent out to everyone that was in the affected area that was happening. They've been noisy because they have to cut a couple of the rails, but most of them are out of the ground, and then they'll slowly be taking those to recycling, which we get paid for, which is great. And that'll pave the way for a trail. Second thing up is we got a call from Commerce last week on Friday. If you remember, about 4 or 5 months ago, we applied for a solar grant. for our community center to put solar and battery backup, 3-day backup. I'm sad to announce I have more work to do because we got the grant. So we will put in solar panels and battery backup in the community center, 3-day battery backup. What that means is that if the sun went out for 3 days or we didn't have sunlight for 3 days, the batteries would still charge it for 3 days. If you have sunlight, that can go for, a lot longer, obviously, because you're charging the battery at the same time. So that was really, really good news.
And what's the amount to that?
The amount is roughly, so they haven't given me the official letter. They just said they fully funded it. So the fully funding of that was around 300-something thousand.
So that's grant money that you're not spending?
Grant money I'm not spending, yes, from Department of Commerce for solar panels for a community center that if there's an emergency, we can use it for an operations center, or we could, a million different things we can use that for. It to be awesome. So we're excited about that. And the other thing,
Construction stage.
the stage construction. So I mentioned this, we should have plans this week. We'll share those with the Public Services Committee the week after that. And then we should be able to start stage construction next month, September. That was our plan after Labor Day, when all the things kind of died down in the park. We would start stage construction, and it should be a very quick turnaround. I don't want to give you a time because it'll be ready by Christmas in the park is what I've been told. So we will have maybe even earlier, but Christmas in the park for sure, it'll be ready. So we're excited about that.
Councilor Crossman.
Since you brought up the word solar,
Yes.
I'm curious, the solar lights on this side of the road aren't working?
They were working when I checked them Friday nights after Jazz Fest.
There was some issues earlier on.
There was.
So the other side were working the other day when I went for my walk, but this side wasn't working. I'm like, well, that's weird that the lights on this side aren't working. Is it not connected?
Yeah, so all the solar lights, there's a battery issues initially with them, but they're warranted, so they sent us 2 batteries. So everyone is working besides the one in front of La Gitana. As of Friday night, after Jazz Fest, I drove just to make sure they were all on, and they were all on. So if you check again, if you have time at night to check.
It was Monday, but I'll check.
Yeah, it was Friday night, they were working,
Tomorrow.
unless you did something to them in between those 2 days.
They are working properly. Like you said, they are in warranty. We will do that.
Yeah, they have 5-year warranties for anything that you go wrong. So.
Any other questions for Cody? All right. You good with yours?
Good.
All right. For mine, I appreciate council removing that. I know it's kind of tricky doing that. That's a parliamentary procedure. Sorry about that. But I will announce the appointment for the Civil Service Commission, which is to help ensure the law enforcement officers are recruited through open competition, hired and promoted on the basis of merit, and are demoted, suspended, removed from office, or discharged only for cause. This person had to be a citizen of the United States, an elector of the county in which he or she resides. And an elector is a person who is a citizen in the United States, 18 years old or older. They serve 6-year terms. We posted this on the social media page for 2 weeks. Accepted applications through July 31st. We received 3 applications, all very qualified candidates. This one was a lot tougher for me to make the decision. I ended up reappointing Joanne Wolf. After discussing it with staff and the chief as well. But I appreciate Joanne's service already. I believe she served 2 terms already. But the next opening, I hope that those that did apply will apply again, and I will likely appoint from that list. Other than that, is there any questions regarding that from council or anyone? Okay. Other than that, I attended Thurston County Economic Development's Hoop Nanny. And some bouncy races, I guess. It was. Anyway, I fell and I didn't injure myself or anything, but it was quite the race. Some other with other electeds in the county. I attended a meeting with a multi-care representative. He was the president for the medical capital facility and our capital center. And it's multi-care, it's Thurston County market lead. And he did confirm that there is a lot of interest in moving out to Yelm and expanding their operations here. They are doing multi-care is doing a free physical that he shared. And I think that folks may have seen that on social media, that free physicals for our student athletes, which is amazing. So having another meeting with them coming up, we're going to be discussing, or it'll be with their Indigo representative, their president for that. And this is more for primary care and just some general expansion. So very positive news for that. I think it's something that the folks at Yelm definitely want and should have, is more medical care and expanded facilities. Other than that, wonderful time in National Night Out. That was wonderful, really great show of support from the community, from the local businesses donating their time, their money, and their effort to support the Yelm police officers, as well as our local partners here in Thurston County. So it's just really wonderful. Other than that, we'll move on. Any questions for me? Move on to City Council. Let's start with Councilmember Kaminsky.
I knew you were going to do that. Okay, update from the Arts Commission. As you might know from the survey that's on the corner of the Wolf Building with a little thermometer, we have reached our community survey limit to put us into the first step of getting our designation for Creative Arts District. And as Lynn said, we've got about 50 more steps, but that was the first step that was reached. So that's exciting. The wind feature that we approved is on order and will be here, I think, in the fall. And we're also working with PSC to get some nice utility wraps on some of their big boxes that are around town. So that will be another pretty feature. And other than that, I have to admit, I indulged myself in both days of the Jazz Festival, and it was fantastic. That's my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Kaminsky. Councilmember Brooks.
Yeah, I'm wearing this shirt today because I just came from the American Legion where they were hosting a suicide prevention. I was invited as a city councilor to learn what the VA is doing and educating others and knowing how to be there for your peers. And then yesterday, I was extremely busy. I spent 3 hours in the city of Olympia with the mayor, Selby, where I took a tour of 2 different low barrier homeless villages in hopes of seeing what that could look like here and bringing that to the homelessness committee to discuss. I was at National Night Out, and then I was also at the EDC Hoot Nanny with the mayor, where he was actually not the only one that fell.
Thank you.
And if you don't know what the Hoot Nanny is, it's an event that recognizes businesses and organizations for their economic courage. And it's open to everybody in Thurston County to apply. And I encourage some more Yelm organizations to do that. I believe the Shiplap was one the year prior. And then Ingenious was recognized also. So keep up Yelm applying for those things. This week, I'll be at an AWC conference in Leavenworth, where I will continue my certification of municipal leadership. And that's what I have so far.
Thank you, Councilmember Brooks. And just tie off on that a little bit more. If any councilmember wants to do that, apply for or take the quiz. You have to have so many hours worth for Association of Washington Cities to get that municipal leadership. I'd highly encourage you to do that. It just makes you a more complete council member or elected official, knowing all the stuff. Anyway, thank you, Councilmember Brooks. Councilmember Hess.
Nothing to report.
All right, anyone else? Councilmember says. Councilmember Smith, please.
Had a lot of, okay. Just kidding. No meetings. Okay. The only meeting I had was TCOM, and it was kind of interesting. They talked about July 4th and the number of phone calls that came in from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. They had 625 calls, which is quite a few. They also had a problem with the system overloading. TCOM's been having a lot of problems with their phone system, and they're in a contract, and we're going to discuss a budget when the contract is up. But they had 800 to 900 calls that duplicated on the screen. So it caused just a lot of problems. So then the calls go to these other areas. And it was because it was the 4th of July and all the places were backed up. Some of the calls actually ended up in Spokane, which is fine. They're like the last resort, but thank God there were no major emergencies. And the staffing is still down, but they're only down 7 FTEs now. So it's getting there slowly but surely. So I'll say it again. If you want a good job, apply at TCOM. That's all I got.
Councilmember Crossman.
Jasmine Park is great, of course. I just wanted to comment, since I was gone last week, I watched the study session for Councilmember Brooks. an idea for your bike safety dealie that you talked about. If you hop in the way back machine, back when I was in like 7th grade, the Yelm Police Department had a bike safety at the school. And they did a class, and maybe that's something you could pursue. And I actually won a bike out of it. Because out of their stock, the bikes that they get. But that was the idea I brought back those memories of long ago. But that's it.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Richardson.
Well, we hosted the Chamber Forum today, and it's always nice to get businesses and, city involvement there. Very nice. And Stephanie, thank you for always volunteering and helping set up and filling up water pitchers. A lot of work. So thank you for that. But no, it's just good to talk and network, and thank the city for showing up, and thank you for always giving an update. Either it's the mayor, Todd, or Cody. It's always fun giving an update.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnstone.
Yesterday, I attended the Thurston County Opioid Response Task Force meeting. I met them when I went to the Thurston County Fair and wanted some more information. They are a group of many cities, including Olympia, Tumwater, and Lacey. Yelm is not a member of that task force, but it's open to the public and partners. They did share some stats about opioid deaths in Thurston County that I thought were saddening and shocking. In 2022, there was 91 overdose deaths within Thurston County, and 49 of those involved fentanyl. They also shared their response plan that is available on their website as well to what they're doing to combat that. August 31st is International Overdose Awareness Day. I looked back through all the archives and don't show that Yelm has issued a proclamation in support of that. I did find a proclamation from Director Colt, his class in 2018, where it was Drug Awareness Day for June 30th. But I think it'd be great if Yelm joined Olympia, Tumwater, and Lacey in recognizing International Overdose Awareness Day and issuing a proclamation as well. There is an event scheduled. It's in Olympia at Heritage Park on August 31st from 1 to 7 p.m. They have Narcan training, a memorial altar, a resource table, crafting. It is family friendly. I will be attending because this is something that I think is very important and I hold, close to my heart. So I encourage others as well.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnstone, and I think we can do that. All right. There is no executive session scheduled. Is there anything else good for the order? Councilmember Smith?
I move to adjourn.
There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah, I'm opposed.
Oh, motion.